So let's see if it'll start. No. Today, I've been on a mission to see what the worst car I can buy with an MOT is for £500. And astonishingly, it was quite difficult. I was hoping that I'd be able to find something like a Citroen Zara Picasso, maybe in that horrible beige colour, for like 350 quid with an MOT, but it's not possible. So instead, I've gone and bought this. And you might think, hey Geoff, that doesn't look too bad, but let me show you around the car. Quite clearly, this is an MG ZR. It's a 1.4 and it was local and it was cheap. Now, I saw this on Facebook Marketplace yesterday. I didn't see all of the rust, but it does have an MOT until February, and all of the maintenance has been done, funnily enough, by the garage that I always used. I was told that it needed a starter motor and would only start with a bump start, but since I picked it up, it has been starting on the button every time, much to the seller's dismay. Now, I paid £400 for this car, which I don't think is too bad at all, and it does seem to drive very well. There are a few catches, which I'll show you. Clearly, you can see the rust. Yeah, that's not fantastic, but also there's some dents. So we've got rust and dents on pretty much every panel, but if you wanted to, you could turn this into something really nice. Rust and dents on every panel, particularly on this side, and also it's missing a wheel. Well, it's not, it's got a puncture and the other alloy wheel is in the boot. More rust on this side, a bit of rust there as well, and around the back, not too bad, bit of lacquer peel. 400 quid though with an MOT. Right, inside it is absolutely grim. I've never seen a car like it. Look at the dog hair. And if you could smell it, it smells like a wet Labrador that's been getting very, very high. Yeah, not the best. So I'm going to take this for a gold valet because I don't think it's ever had one. I'll go through the paperwork because it does have more than you'd expect, and I'll see if we can turn this cheap, ugly duckling into a little bit of Geoff. But overall, for 400 quid, I really don't think you can complain about that, can you?
A few moments later. Soon after.
The car's cleaned up fairly well, and there's some interesting things that have come to light about this car. Whilst it's being cleaned, I've been doing my research and I've done a vehicle check and I've looked at the history. So I'll talk you through all that. But for now, cosmetically, it's come up pretty well. Obviously, the cleaner's done nothing about the dents or the rust, but whatever. It's a very cheap car at 400 quid. Now, we did have to bump start it to get it to where it is now, but when I shut it off a minute ago, it did come straight back on. Sunroof seems to be working, so let's just go and see if I turn the car off, can I actually start it again without bump starting it? It's like a challenge. You ready? Off, back on again. Nothing that time, but it did work before. So yeah, there's obviously nothing at all going on there, but that's okay. That's for the next owner to sort out. Right, inside, it's not as nice an interior as the last one that I had. And obviously it could have a proper deep valet, you know, the kind that you do at home, spend all weekend doing it, but that's not for right now either. I preferred the interior on the blue MG ZR that I had, but this is a huge improvement over what it looked like before. Now, I'm going to jump in the car and talk you through the service history and what has just come to light. Oh yeah, missing an alloy. Well, it's in the boot. Now, as a very cheap Geoff car, at £400, this is almost the cheapest car I've bought so far for the channel. I was expecting zero paperwork. It has only come with the new keeper slip. There is no V5 for this car, so the new owner will have to spend 25 quid applying for one. Not the end of the world. But I was pleased to find a full MG ZR book pack, and once again, pleasantly surprised by the amount of paperwork that is in it. It's been serviced at 11,000, 29,000, 36,000, 48,000, 54,000, 57,000, 63,000, 65,000 and 69,000 miles. It's on 104 now. But it also had a service in 2019, oil service, fuel filter, pollen filter and spark plugs in March of 2019. So probably due a service but it does have some, you know, justified and verified service history. Interestingly, the cam belt was done in 2009, again in 2016, so the cam belt's only, what, 6 years old? Not too bad. Crucially, the head gasket, water pump and alternator were also done in 2016. So for my £400 car, in the last 6 years, it's had 1,437 quid spent on it. Not bad for a cheap car. Now, another thing I found with this car when I did a vehicle check with Vehicle Smart is it's an unrecorded insurance write-off. It went through a salvage auction in 2017. You can see the photos here. So, at some point, this car was owned by an insurance company and was sold through an auction. That's all I can tell you about it. Minimal damage, as you can see, and it's never been repaired. So, what we have is a very cheap, MOT'd, very good handling, good service history car that sometimes starts and sometimes doesn't and is ready for a little bit of love. For 400 quid. Some people spend more than that on their monthly leases on their modern cars. I'm not going to do a full review on this car because I've done it all before. I've gone too far, haven't I? I've already had an MG ZR on a 2003 as a 3-door with the same engine, and I concluded that it was fantastic.
Handling of this car is excellent. Nice tight suspension, chunky wheel, seat that holds you in, small wheelbase. What's not to like?
This one just needs a little bit of love to bring it up to scratch. So there we go. Cheap motoring from Geoff Buys Cars. 400 quid and a £25 valet. Oh, and a £60 starter motor as well. You're going to need one of those. And a few other bits, but really, at 400 quid, who's complaining? And sunroof works. Thanks for watching. I even like that the number plate almost says UFO. Goosey Jafo.
Not clear what it is. The video, though, comes at the end of a year that has seen the UFO phenomenon gain widespread acceptance. Just the other week, the U.S. Department of Defense announced the launch of another new UFO task force. So,
best performance by an actor in a supporting role in any motion picture.
Geoff Buys Cars.
Geoff Buys Cars. Still YouTube's most boring car channel.